Now the Spirit of the Lord is the one that speaks through me. Before my mother's womb, he ordained and knew me, ransomed me, and placed his words upon my tongue. Few are chosen, rest assured that I am one, an ambassador for Christ, his beloved son. And by his word, let souls be one. So welcome everyone to this listening party. Sit back and let your souls be hearty. Celebrate with me the gift that God has imparted. And what better way to get this party started than to give him the stage, because he knows where your heart is. Holy Spirit, you are welcome in this place. Give me the boldness to look upon each face and speak every word that you've given me to say. With no fear, I speak truth. I won't deviate, and I'm confident that all will go great. So let your presence saturate this place. I breathe in your spirit, I intake a river full of life, watering every dry place as I flow to the notes that heaven navigates. Let it bless every listener and free them today. Let the truth of your word draw souls to be saved. Let the comforter comfort hearts today, and let the light of your word show them the way. Every time I write, I tell his story as I bask in the truth of his word before me. He opens up to me and shows me his glory. He gives me the strength to keep on soaring, and when I open up my mouth, for him I'm roaring. And the Spirit of the Lord goes before me, to the captive set free, that's reassuring. Over the years he strengthened my inner core, and every day I wake up just seeking him more. Am I ready for this? In my spirit I'm sure I am in Christ, and my Father I adore. He redeemed me from destruction, I am his ambassador. As the world turns and open up the door, I step in with purpose to win souls for the Lord. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell a story as I bask in the truth of his word before me. Every time I write, I tell the story as I bask in the truth of his word before me.
Hey gang, welcome to Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, the fastest growing show in the world. It's Monday, March 31st, and it's the last day of March. This is the day that the Lord has made. We let us rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. What's going on, Lord?
It's double echoing.
Okay, let's fix the double echo.
There's
Just try missing one. What's going on, Lord? Okay. All righty. So where are we? Are we good?
now we are.
Hey gang, look, it's the last day of March, and you know what? Right off the bat, listen. I told you. I have 13 siblings, brothers and sisters, and like almost half of them birthdays are in March. So look, right off the top, happy birthday, Marva. Happy birthday, Nate. Happy birthday, Donald. Happy birthday, James. Happy birthday, Robert. Happy birthday, Steve. Happy birthday, Curtis. Did I cover everybody?
Yes, but I'm still hearing an echo.
Okay, that's because it's the speaker, babe. That's okay. Just do like this, and we'll get rid of it. Is it gone now? Yep, that's it. That's okay. Hey, hey, we're live, and guess what happened in live shows? Stuff like this. Like I said, it's March 31st. It's the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we, LOVE, love the Word of God and sports on the Tom the Bomb Show. Hey, man, we got a great show. I'm excited. As you know, the show is live. We're live on Facebook. Our contact number here is 301-655-9992. So you can be a part of the show and call in live if you want. And you can catch all the replays immediately after the show live on YouTube. You can also contact us by email at info@tomthebombsports.com. And of course, you can always visit our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. Hey, gang, I'd like to personally thank you all for your prayers and your support. We've heard you loud and clear, and for everyone that has reached out wanting to contribute to the show and our ministry, we sincerely thank you. With that, we appreciate your patronage, and you can bless us to keep creating this great content that we do, and more importantly, spreading the word of God. Our business cash app is hashtag $Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. That's $Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. We sincerely thank you, and may God bless you 100-fold return on the seed you've sown into our ministry at the Tom the Bomb Show. As usual, we want to start off by thanking God for all the wonderful things that he's already done for us in 2025. Of course, our theme in 2025 is living in the grace realm. Our foundational scripture for 2025 is found in 2 Corinthians 9:8, and it says, yes, God is more than ready to overwhelm you with every form of grace so that you will have more than enough of everything, every moment, and in every way. He will make you overflow with abundance in every good thing you do. Hey, gang, we got trivia for you today. Our trivia question, are we going to bring that up? Our trivia question for today is, what school has the most Final Four appearances? What school has the most Final Four appearances? That's our trivia question for today. What are we watching tonight? We've got the women's NCAA tournament, the Elite Eight conclusion to complete the Final Four. Number 1 seed Texas plays number 2 seed TCU at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. Eastern. All these times are Eastern. Number 1 seed USC, without their star, takes on number 2 seed UConn, with the last 2 Final Four spots coming to the winners of these games. Okay, so that's what we're watching tonight. That's what we're watching tonight. Man, we got a lot to cover, so let's get it. Like I said, we got a ton to cover on today's show. So it's a great, like I said, man, this is my absolute favorite time of the year. It's not even close. I mean, from a sports standpoint, this is my favorite time of the year, with the men's and women's Final Four shaping up. We're a couple of weeks from the Masters, man. What can I say? And our annual Myrtle Beach trip, which is in Williamsburg this year instead of Myrtle Beach, and it's official. The boys of summer are back. The boys are back in town. Boys are back in town. It's opening week in Major League Baseball, and the LA Dodgers have already sucked all of the air out of the room. What's the chance of having your superstar one-legged hit a walk-off home run to win a World Series game? Well, the Dodgers are so fully loaded, incredibly, they've had 2 of them do that decades apart. So at the Dodgers home opener, they unveiled their 2024 World Series championship banner, and they had 1988 World Series hero Kirk Gibson throw out the first pitch to the other one-legged wonder, 2024 World Series hero Freddie Freeman. They're there to catch it. It's a great man. It's a great time to be a Dodgers fan. Man, they coming out of the woodworks. I was watching Tom Hanks on TV the other night, watching his Dodgers, beloved Dodgers. The Dodgers are so loaded. Laura, you're supposed to say, how loaded are the Dodgers?
How loaded are the Dodgers?
They're so loaded, they shouldn't even play the 2025 Major League Baseball season. They should just give them the championship now, okay? There have been legendary great teams in Major League Baseball over the years. You got the 1927 Murderous Row New York Yankees with Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. Listen to this, man. Babe Ruth, look, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. In 27, Babe Ruth batted .365. He had 60 home runs, and he drove in 165 RBIs. And the guy batting right behind him, Lou Gehrig, he hit .373 with 47 dingers and 173 RBIs. You also got the 1929 Philadelphia A's. And that's the team that beat Murderers Row. So how good were the 1929 A's? Then you got the 1975-76 Big Red Machine, one of the very, very best baseball teams I ever seen with my own eyes. But that team got beat by the 1973-1974 Oakland A's, and they were the last team to win 3 World Series in a row. So how good was that Oakland A's team? Well, with all that being said, the 2025 LA Dodgers could be better than them all. Man, that's crazy. They could be better than them all. It's deja vu all over again, as the Dodgers are heavy, heavy favorites in 2025. The 2025 team is better than the 2024 team that just won the World Series. They're led by Japanese superstar Shohei Ohtani. I don't know if that's Lori. Lori, is Shohei your favorite baseball player now?
He could be.
He could be. He could be. All right. The biggest, he's the biggest name in baseball. The Dodgers, excuse me, the Dodgers have signed another Japanese star in right-handed pitcher Roku Sasaki, and he's a filthy beast. He's filthy. This guy is nasty on the mound. They signed who I think is the best left-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball in Blake Snell. That's who I wanted the Cardinals to sign, but they ain't gonna get nobody no money. They signed Blake Snell to a 5-year, $182 million deal. And then of course they've got Tyler Glasnow, Tony Gosselin, Dustin May, Landon Knack, Shohei Ohtani, and you still have first ballot Hall of Fame Clayton Kershaw, 3-time National League Cy Young winner and 5-time ERA winner to use however you like. Man, they are so loaded. It's ridiculous. Man, they're coming as close to cheating without cheating that you can come, man. Hey, listen, covering the DMV in baseball, Tyler O'Neill, ex-St. Louis Cardinal, extended his Major League record streak of consecutive opening day home runs, hitting his 6th straight home run on opening day. A 3-run shot in the 3rd inning of a 12-2 Orioles win over the Blue Jays. Tyler O'Neill finished 3 for 3 on the day. Daley Rushman and Cedric Mullins both hit 2 homers as well in the 12-2 rout. Then you got the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're just covering opening day in Major League Baseball. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been suffering for decades in baseball, but they have the best pitcher in baseball in Rookie of the Year, Paul Skeens. At 22 years old, he looks like he's going to throw a no-hitter every time he takes the mound. It's just it's crazy. Go ahead and click that. Yeah. Every time he takes him out, he looks like he's going to throw a no-hitter. Then you got the New York Mets, the Metropolitans. They outspent the Yankees to steal away Juan Soto. Let's see how that turns out in Gotham City for the Metropolitans. With their owner never shy about dropping a dime or two to finance a winner. He'll spend the money, that's for sure, for the Mets. We got a lot going on. Hey, my beloved St. Louis Cardinals gave Nolan Arenado a curtain call after his game-winning home run, which is kind of amazing seeing that the Cardinals spent the whole offseason trying to trade Arenado. But Arenado has a no-trade clause, so he kept vetoing the trades. Now they're 3-0. They're getting ready. As a matter of fact, they should be just about getting ready to throw the first pitch in their 4th game against the Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels. The Redbirds are in first place, and that's a winner, boy. St. Louis fans, we better celebrate that now. We're 3-0 and in first place. We better celebrate that now, because I ain't think that's going to happen. So let's get to the Yankees. I bet they play for the Yankees. The new Torpedo Bats created a stir amid a 9-homer barrage. And the new bats, check this out. The new bats are legal. They're legal, okay? The concept makes so much sense. Are we good, Larry? The bigger you have the barrel where you hit the ball, to me it's kind of like in golf. You want a bigger sweet spot on the club face. The barrel of the new Torpedo Bat extends farther down towards the label instead of just the barrel. Think of it as it kind of looks like a bowling pin. Okay, like I said, the bigger the sweet spot, the bigger the margin for error. Of the 5 homers Brewers pitchers Nestor Cortez gave up, 4 of the Yankees batters was using the new Torpedo Bat. Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, Wells, and Volpe all used the Torpedo Bat to hit home runs. Aaron Judge on the same day hit 3 home runs, 3 dingers himself, and he wasn't using the Torpedo Bat. Judge said, well, what I've done in the past couple of seasons speak for itself. The innovation is attributed to Aaron Linhart, a former Yankees an analyst and a physics guy, currently working for the Marlins now as a field coordinator. The Torpedo Bat is making its way around the league. The bat seems to be more balanced from end to end, according to Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger says the benefits for me is the weight distribution. The weight feels closer to my hands, so I feel as if it's lighter. The other teams in Major League Baseball are now getting their orders in. To me, like I said, it's equivalent to a new hot golf club that everyone wants to try, whether it's a new putter or a driver. So here's the question. Do the new bats make a tangible difference? That's the question. Well, unless 9 home run games become the norm, it's difficult to say. But more than likely, it's just the placebo effect. I think you like that, Lori?
Mm-hmm.
I think just seeing how big the barrel is mentally gives them confidence. And in sports, confidence is everything. Aaron Judge has set a club record with 4 home runs through 3 games in the sweep of the Brew Crew. Judge's 4th home run came in the first inning on Sunday, a 2-run shot, and the Yankees hit 4 more homers in all in a 12-3 victory over the Milwaukee Brewers. Jazz Chisholm added 2 homers, and Ben Rice also went deep for the Bronx Bombers, which basically tied a major league record. The Yankees have hit 15 home runs in their first 3 games, and they've tied a club record by hitting 13 home runs in 2 games. In 2015, Adrian Gonzalez hit 5 home runs in his first 3 games for the Dodgers. That's the most ever in the first 3 games by Adrian Gonzalez. All righty, let's get to it. The Final Four is officially set for the NCAA men's tournament in San Antonio. And just like that, the March Madness field of 68 is down to 4. The Final Four. Tom DeBon picked the Florida Gators and the Duke Blue Devils to go all the way and be an international champion again. Well, they punched their tickets first with wins over the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Alabama Crimson Tide on Saturday night. Let's start off recapping how Dr. Lawrence Duke Blue Devils beat Alabama 85-65. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. Go ahead. It was inevitable that Alabama couldn't keep up its incredible 3-point shooting display of making 25 3-pointers from Thursday's Sweet 16 win into Saturday's Elite 8 matchup against Duke. You know, I've been telling you guys about Duke's great defense. The Crimson Tide made only 8 of 32 attempts beyond the arc against a tough Duke defense. Like I said earlier, I was so impressed with Duke's defense, and they did a great job of guarding the 3-point line, chasing Alabama star Mark Sears off the 3-point line and forcing a dismal shooting day for Alabama's big gun, going 2 for 6 and scoring only 6 points in the game. Meanwhile, Duke was too big, too long, and consistently finishing at the rim with lobs to Kama Malak for easy dunks. Con Canepo led the way for the Blue Devils with 21 points, while Cooper Flagg finished with 16 points and 9 rebounds. The Tide tried to make a run in the second half, but Duke responded with an 11-4 run to extend the lead to 13 before stretching it out to 20 points lead in the final minutes. Checkmate, okay? They're too big, too strong, great defense. Too big, too strong, great defense. Duke was simply more talented without their star dominating, okay? The Blue Devils are deep and well balanced. Proof in the pudding, they won the ACC tournament without Cooper Flagg, their best player. The players coming off Duke's bench would be starters at any other school. You know, they're all high school McDonald's All-Americans. Duke is going to be hard to beat in the Final Four. And here's why: because of their ability to protect the rim and defend in the paint. Lori defense still wins championships. Alabama's run and gun style offense turned into awkward, off balance shots, and it turned the Tide's fast pace into chaos and intimidating Alabama at the rim. Their defense was flat out stifling Duke's defense. I think it's the best defensive Duke team that I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot. You know, that's saying a lot when you start talking about Duke all-time team, you know, that 90, 91, 92 teams. But this team defensively, I ain't never seen anything better than what they're doing now. Okay, our next game was the Texas Tech versus Florida. Florida, as Creeks would say, Florida. Florida defeated Texas Tech 84-79 in a much, much closer game than Duke versus Alabama. The Texas Tech actually had a very good chance to upset the number one ranked Florida Gators. Florida was on the brink of elimination until superstar guard Walter Clayton Jr. scored 13 of his game-high 30 points over the final 5 minutes to erase a 10-point deficit to Texas Tech. I told you guys that this is a guards tournament to win or lose. Alabama Mark Sears fell short, but Walter Clayton Jr. put the Gators on his back and carried them to the Final Four. Their first Final Four since 2014. The Gators were struggling in the second half until help showed up in the form of Thomas Hall, making back-to-back three-pointers at the most critical part of the game to cut the deficit to 75-72 with 2 minutes and 27 seconds left to play. Before Clayton Jr. woke up and took the baton and ran a beautiful anchor leg, making back-to-back three-pointers also for 4 in a row, outscoring Tech 12-0 to give Florida its first lead since early in the half, and basically icing the game in its closing moments with a pair of clutch free throws. Like the closer that he is, the Florida Gators are in the Final Four because of their ability to turn the game in their favor with devastating runs the way they have. They were down 9 points with 3 minutes and 14 seconds left in the game against Tech. They ended the game on an 18-4 run like they've done all season long in the SEC. And in the NCAA tournament, they outscored Maryland 47-33 in the second half of their Sweet 16 game. And even against Norfolk State in the opening round, they scored 53 points in 17 minutes. The Gators have launched those same knockout punches against other elite teams. They did it to Tennessee after being tied and eventually winning by 12. Florida is like a home run hitter in the bottom of the ninth inning. It's never over with the Gators because of the home run threat they always possess. It's like a boxer that's always got that knockout punch. He's got a puncher's chance, you know, even if he's not the best fighter, because he's got that explosive punch, he can knock you out at any time. That's what Florida is. I've mentioned that it's a guards game in the big dance, and Walter Clayton Jr. has been brilliant. His performance reminds me of the 2011 UConn National Championship team when Kemba Walker put the Huskies on his back and led them to glory. The Final Four is all about the stars. The teams that have players who shine under the brightest lights are the teams that ultimately cut down the nets and win national championships. Think of Anthony Davis with Kentucky, Carmelo Anthony with Syracuse, the aforementioned Kemba Walker with the Huskies. How about Mateen Cleaves with Michigan State and Jay Williams of Lawrence Duke Blue Devils? Star power reigns in the NCAA tournament. Next up, Cooper Flagg or Walter Clayton Jr.? What do you think? Well, Florida might have the big dog in Walter Clayton Jr. His sheer will and talent could be the deciding factor in whether the Gators win another national championship. So there it is. All righty, let's move on. In Sunday's Elite Eight matchups, the number one Houston Cougars took on the number 2 Tennessee Volunteers. The Volunteers had dreams of dancing into the Final Four, but those dreams were dashed by the #1 Houston Cougars on Sunday in the final day of the Elite Eight in the men's NCAA tournament, 69-50. The Houston Cougars were dominant on defense against Tennessee, refusing to allow the Volunteers to get close to the basket for the first half. The combination of defense and Tennessee being ice cold from deep gave Houston a massive first half lead that Tennessee just weren't able to recover from. Tennessee defense that's been praised all through the tournament, they did a good job of holding LJ Cryer to just 17 points. But Emmanuel Sharp and Malik Wilson picked up the slack with timely scoring to put the game on ice. It was Houston's stout interior defense and timely three-point shooting that was key to the Cougars' win on Sunday by 19 points. The Cougars get Dr. Lauren's Duke Blue Devils in the Final Four on Saturday, April 5th. All right, you excited about that, Lauren?
Yep.
All righty, moving on. Auburn completes the sweep of the #1 seeds into the Final Four, beating Michigan State 70-64. Like I mentioned earlier, the bigger you can dance is it's a tournament for stars, and Janai Broome reiterated that on Sunday with 25 points and 14 rebounds. He had a double-double at halftime. Auburn took command with 17 unanswered points in the first half to beat Michigan State on Sunday and complete a sweep of the #1 seeds, advancing to the Final Four for the first time since 2008. Auburn is 32-5. Auburn earns its second Final Four trip, joining Florida, Duke, and Houston as the other #1 seeds. Auburn will face SEC rival Florida in an all-SEC conference semifinal on Saturday in San Antonio. Jackson Kohler led the Spartans with 17 points and 11 rebounds, and Jaden Ankins added 15 points. Look, man, Tom the Bomb got to keep it 100 here. Look, the Michigan Spartans, they play ugly. They win ugly, and they lose ugly. The thought crossed my mind was all of the Michigan State players' fathers must be Masons because of all the bricks that they were laying in that game. Their shooting was atrocious. It wasn't that Auburn's defense was just spectacular. Well, it was good, but it wasn't spectacular. If the Spartans had fell out of a boat, they wouldn't have hit water. That's how bad they were. The Auburn Tigers' Big Ten, their big men intimidated and forced wild shots to the basket. I couldn't understand why the Michigan Spartans wouldn't take the mid-range jumper. The mid-range jumper in the NBA and college seems to be a lost art. It was there all night for them, and they either went to the basket and had to change their shot instead of going to the basket strong to the hoop, or they threw up bricks from the three-point line, which was definitely their weak link. The Spartans had the lowest three-point shooting percentage in all of the tournament, under 30%. The Spartans went 9 minutes without scoring a basket. The game is only 40 minutes long. How can you win if you go 9 minutes without scoring? At one point, the Spartans missed 10 consecutive shots during a 5-minute stretch. The Big Ten teams just don't have the shooters to win it all. It's the league's style of play that don't allow them to win it all in the NCAA tournament. Michigan State got enough offensive rebounds to win this game, but it seemed like they had a lid on their basket. They shot 26% from the field for the whole game. Man, how you gonna win a game shooting 26%? It was hard to watch. The Spartans won the Big Ten regular season title and made it to the Elite Eight without any shooters. Only tough defense and great rebounding. Janai Broome made 10 of 13 shots from the field, including his 2 3-pointers, showing why he's an All-American and SEC Player of the Year. So Duke will take on Houston on Saturday, April 5th in the nightcap at 8:49 p.m. On CBS. And Florida versus Auburn at 6:09 p.m. on CBS in the early game. I like Florida over Auburn, and I like Duke over Houston. And like I predicted in the beginning, I got Duke in Florida Monday night for the national championship game. Hey, I couldn't pick, I wasn't going to pick the Final Four, but listen, I gave you guys what I think is going to be the national championship game. And Duke looked like they're unbeatable. And I think Florida looks pretty good. So let's get it on, okay? Now, in local college basketball in the DMV, University of Maryland head coach Kevin Willard leaves Maryland for Villanova in a messy departure following the Terrapins' Sweet 16 run. What seemed inevitable for more than a week has now been decided. Boy, this wasn't a secret at all. Everybody kind of knew this. Kevin Willard has officially left Maryland after 3 seasons to be the next coach at Villanova. Villanova made it official with a Sunday morning announcement. Willard wasn't happy with Maryland's refusal to go after players in the transfer portal and pay them NIL money. Willard claims that Maryland is one of the worst, if not the lowest team in major college basketball in paying NIL money. So Willard was scheduled to make around $6 million with Maryland next season. Villanova, being a private school, doesn't have to disclose its contract terms. Maryland's a state school, it's a public school. So Willard has become a pariah for Maryland supporters. Returning to College Park was not going to be a desirable option for Willard. He's now an enemy for much of the Maryland fan base. He played us like a drum, one Maryland supporter said about Coach Kevin Willard. Willard returns to the Big East, a league he coached in for 12 years. Willard has won 225 games at Seton Hall, but only one NCAA tournament game. His career record is 335 and 249, and the Villanova job is an upgrade over the University of Maryland job. But it's bad timing for the University of Maryland. Currently they don't have an AD because the AD left for another job at SMU. They're surely, and on top of that, they're going to lose their star Derek Queen to the NBA draft, and the other crap 5 they're either going to go to the NBA. They're going back to the transfer portal to get the NIL money. And then, of course, they lost some to graduation with Julian Reese graduating. I personally thought Coach Kevin Willard did a poor job with this team, and I think he underachieved. Okay, so who's available for the Maryland opening, the Maryland job? No one really knows without a full-time AD, and more importantly, a president that isn't really invested in the sports side of running a university. It's not a real attractive job right now. America's basketball coach, Dwayne Simpkins, he's an ex-Terp player. He's an option. And then there's George Mason's Tony Skien, could be quick fixes to keep the program going smoother into the next phase of Terrapin basketball. Hey, gang, look, let's take a commercial break, and we'll be right back with the women's side of the bracket.
Window Nation is on the Morgan's home turf to huddle up about replacing their drafty old windows.
This free estimate is showing how easy it is to tackle the problem.
We can get any of these windows custom made.
Yes, you can get the quality and style you really want.
And at a more affordable price than they ever imagined.
Now that they've sealed the deal, they'll be saving money year-round.
We're really confident with Window Nation.
Get your free estimate today and get 60% off all windows plus no interest or payments for 24 months at getwindownation.com.
Blender of true Mexican hospitality effortlessly blends with rich materials and insatiable comforts to bring guests the ideal home away from home experience. With its quiet beaches, scenic vistas, rich history, and an astounding surrounding natural habitat, you'll feel as though you've been swept off to paradise. Not to be outdone, Reese Jones has crafted TPC Danzante Bay, a brilliant, multi-themed 18-hole golf course that runs over and through valleys, arroyos, dunes, and foothills. From every angle, striking images of the islands of Loreto and the surrounding mountain range take your breath away, while the challenging yet rewarding Baja Golf Course beckons you to return for more. It is an honor and my pleasure to welcome you to the world's most beautiful sunset and so much more.
Hey, gang, and we're back. Hey, listen, on the women's side, we've got half of the final four, and the last two spots will be decided this evening. Matter of fact, tonight, at 7 p.m., number two TCU takes on number one Texas, and then at 9 p.m., number two ranked UConn takes on number one ranked USC. Of course, without their superstar. What's her name?
Juju.
Without Juju to fill out the rest of the NCAA women's Final Four. So yesterday, number one ranked South Carolina Gamecocks defeated Lori's Duke Blue Devils 54-50, and then number one UCLA defeated LSU 72-65. So let's start off with South Carolina and Duke. South Carolina rallied to top Duke to advance to its fifth straight Final Four, keeping its quest to repeat as national champions still alive. The champs have struggled this year, but it's been their resilience and their experience that has been on display throughout the NCAA tournament. South Carolina trailed against Indiana at halftime. They trailed against Maryland in the fourth quarter in the Sweet 16, and then they came back to win in both of those occasions. Each time, different players stepped up to make big plays, which seems to be becoming the trademark for this championship run for South Carolina. Against Indiana and Duke, Coach Don Staley has relied on her starters down the stretch to get the job done. I think the difference in the game was simply experience. South Carolina has been there before, and Duke hadn't. Coach Staley told her team, you know how to win and how not to lose. Get it done. And they squeaked it out with the 54-50 win. See, everybody's hunting South Carolina this year. But like I said, I think it's just their experience. And like that, they've been there. Don Staley has done such a phenomenal job with this program. It's almost kind of like, when you start talking about dynasties like the Patriots, I think of East St. Louis high school football, you start putting things into place and the players come in, they fall right into the system and they almost start to work like robots. Like they know what's required of them. They get if you think of the women's UConn program with Gino Arenado, has done a fantastic job there. They know what to do. That's what Dawn Staley has done at South Carolina, and she's done a phenomenal job with those Lady Gamecocks. Moving on to our next game, the UCLA women hold off LSU to make the program's first Final Four. Lauren Betts, 6'8" Lauren Betts, and Gabriela Jacquez ran the two-man game to perfection. With just 90 seconds left in the game, after Betts was trapped, she found Jacquez open in the corner, and she released a high-arching shot as the LSU defender closed in on her as it swooshed through the net to seal UCLA's first trip to the NCAA Final Four. The Lady Bruins were eliminated by this same LSU team last year in the Sweet 16. That experience helped UCLA get past the Lady Tigers this time. UCLA hit 10 3-pointers against LSU. UCLA's strength all year long has been going in the paint to 6'8" Lauren Betts. And over the year, they've shot 53% from the paint. Against the LSU Tigers, the Tigers held them to just 16 points in the paint on 32% shooting in that area. But surprisingly, UCLA shot 65% from everywhere else. UCLA's coach said, if you'd have told me we were going to win this game by making 10 3-pointers, I'd have told you was crazy. LSU did a great job of putting pressure on Lauren Betts, who finished with 17 points on 7 for 14 shooting with 7 rebounds, but 5 turnovers. With Betts in foul trouble, the Bruins went on a run in the second quarter by outscoring LSU 14-4. And, watching this game, I think this is the part of the game where LSU not LSU, where UCLA really kind of broke LSU's back. Because when Lauren Betts got in foul trouble, when your best player gets in foul trouble and they're forced to be taken out the game, it's a mental momentum thing. So, everybody thought like, okay, Lauren Betts is out of the game. Let's get him. And what happened is UCLA went on a 14-4 run after Lauren Betts left the game. And like and it was boosted by Gardenia's three pointers, taking a 6-point lead at halftime. LSU's coach Kim Mulkey said, "We lost the game in the second quarter when we didn't take advantage of Betts being off the court in foul trouble." Jaquez led the Bruins in scoring with 18 points on 5 of 7 shooting, while Gardenia finished with 15 points. Rice chipped in with 8 assists. This was a game that showed how UCLA had matured from last season, that lost to LSU in the Sweet 16. I think when Lauren Betts got in foul trouble and went out, I think last year that team would have panicked, and Lauren Betts, she's kind of hard on herself. It must be something with the name, Lauren. Lauren Betts is really, really hard on herself. And I think if this had been last year, she'd have went to the bench and she'd have pouted. But when she went to the bench, you could see she was really cheering her teammates on. And it's like they got a boost. It's that old sports saying, next man up. But there's also a saying, if the next man up ain't as good as the man that went out, next man up theory don't really work. Well, I think we saw the maturity of the UCLA women Bruins because, like I said, when Lauren Betts went out, they went on that 14-4 run, and I think it psychologically broke LSU's back. The women's Final Four will be played at Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, on Friday, April 14th. That's for Creeks. I love you, Creeks. With game 1 at 7 p.m. on ESPN, and the second game will follow at 9:30 p.m. on ESPN. All times are Eastern, okay? The championship game will be on Sunday, April 6th at 3 p.m. on ABC. Hey, look, just a little bit of side note here. Gino's all upset. A lot of the people in the ladies' games, they're upset because, we're still running into the issue where the NCAA aren't treating the women the same way they treat the men. Now, I know that the men's tournament makes most money, and that's what people are signing in. But, I can even remember last year where the accommodations and the food was so much different than what they did for the women than what they did for the men. And there's really no excuse for that. And Gino was upset because, he was talking about how the men get almost 6 days to recover for the national championship game, where the women have to turn around and be ready in like 3 days. And he was just saying that that's not fair because, number one, it's not going to allow the fans to travel because it's closer to the middle of the week. So he's got some good points there. Let me get my main man on the phone here because it's time for 5 good minutes. Excuse me, with my main man, Felix Baskey. Felix Baskey. Let me get Felix on, guys. Felix, you there?
Yes, I am.
There he is. That's my man. Listen, just for you guys that don't know, Tom the Bomb's favorite sports program, and believe it or not, it's not the Tom the Bomb Show. It's not. Tom the Bomb's favorite sports program is PTI. I love PTI. It's probably the only thing that I watch regularly every day. And so that's my favorite sports show. I actually tried to pattern the Tom the Bomb Show after PTI. And so I'm saying this because I directly stole this from PTI. So what we're announcing today, which we're going to work into the show on a regular basis, is 5 good minutes with Mr. Felix Baskey. I know you guys love Felix. A lot of y'all want to see Felix more than me. But that's okay. He's such a fantastic guy. I'm loving it. Hey, Phil, how you doing, Felix?
Hello?
Yeah, how you doing?
Doing well.
All righty. Listen, let's jump in. I got some things we want to cover with you in this quick 5 minutes. Let's start off with, I really enjoyed your show last week, Felix. The sports Washington Sports Stand. Let's start off with what you didn't want to start off on your show, but I thought it was hilarious because you did. Let's talk about the LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith fiasco. Man, this is turning into a real clown show, man. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, Felix, which one of these guys are going to be the adult? And neither one of these guys seem to want to be the adult. It's like it's like they just keep pouring gasoline onto the fire, and the fire gets bigger and bigger, and they just won't let it die down. Felix, talk to us about this LeBron and Stephen A. Smith thing that's going on right
I
now.
mean, I don't even know what angle to attack at this point. I mean, first off, I'd say disputes happen. People have disagreements, people argue, and sometimes well-meaning people say the wrong things. Sometimes good people say the wrong things, but there's certain lines you don't cross. And I think Stephen A. Smith, he should have brought up Kobe Bryant's funeral.
That was terrible.
To make matters worse, it was an untrue statement. LeBron James was there, so it's number one. I mean, there's so many angles I can attack. I can say verify your information before you make a
Okay,
claim.
Felix, let me stop you. Some of the viewers may not know what Stephen A. Smith said about Kobe's funeral. Can you fill us in on that?
Oh yes. So he said something to the effect of LeBron James not being there, and the fact of the matter is, LeBron James was there. He said something to the effect of LeBron James not going to the funeral, and the fact was he was there. But aside, even if he wasn't, what I was trying to say is sometimes people, for one reason or another, cannot make it. And I don't want to go into too much detail, but I personally know of a situation in which that has happened. So hearing that kind of struck a nerve with me personally. So the thing was, I hate to say it, but the fact that he went that low showed me clearly who the better in this situation, who the better person was. Now, for LeBron James, I'd say sometimes it's just best to let it go. And I honestly think Stephen A. Smith lost the argument for himself when he brought that up. I honestly think that there's not a single soul who agrees with Stephen A. Smith over LeBron James after he made that statement.
Felix, let's talk about this because, like I mentioned earlier, my thought was, which one of these guys are going to be the adult? And then LeBron turned around and attacked Wendy, and Wendy responded like, okay, I'm the adult. Let me show you how the adult is supposed to respond. Can you talk to how Wendy responded after LeBron James criticized Wendy?
Wendy
Rockhorse.
Windhorse. That's what they call him short for. Are you did you catch that part of it?
Okay, so I would say this. My apologies. So I would say with regards to LeBron James, with Wendy, I mean, at a certain point, I get what LeBron James did. I don't like, again, it's a case of his emotions are probably up in the middle of an argument. And sometimes you're in the middle of an argument, you got dragged into one, you're saying things that are out of character. It's a human thing. And I think it's a case where Stephen A. Smith cut really deep. And it was to the point where he's really just not trying to hear anything from anybody. I'm not making excuses for him, but I applaud Wendy for trying to de-escalate. But at the same time, again, like even in cases where your emotions are high, I believe you've said this either, if not in your show, like within the context of some sort of, I heard you talking about something. Sometimes people should not make certain decisions in certain emotions. Like, for example, if someone's really upset, it's not good for them to speak in that moment. If someone's really happy, that's not a good time to make a business decision or go sports betting. So that would, I mean, really, there are a lot of life lessons baked into this story. And like I said, there's so many angles you can attack.
Real quick, Felix, Steve says that he thinks that this is a media bait, that LeBron and Stephen A. are actually doing this to get ratings and stuff. What's your thoughts on that?
At this point, nothing would shock me. I mean, to be honest, it's not even a conspiracy theory anymore. YouTubers are exposed for doing that very thing. It's a common trend now. It's public knowledge. And a part of me wouldn't be shocked that if by this time next year, LeBron James and Stephen A. are shaking hands, laughing on some basketball court once the hype goes down, and they'll act like it didn't happen. So I've seen this sort of thing happen before. So.
Okay. Hey, look, let's move on. Let's get your take on the MLB update with the Torpedo Bats, and give us an update with your Washington Nationals.
Thank you. This is what I really wanted to talk about.
Let's keep the sports show about sports. Is that what you're trying to say, Felix?
I don't mind tackling heavy subjects, but So going back to what you were saying about the torpedo bats,
Mhm.
I get the idea that the Yankees are not cheating per se because any team in the MLB can do this. This is not some secret project. Any team could literally take the initiative and go do this, and it's an even and it's a fair game regardless. So what I said that the MLB, I did discuss this. I said that although the MLB may consider getting rid of this, it will probably be due to the fact that it's changing the nature of the game. I don't think the MLB wants to have football scores every other game. The Yankees scored 32 points within 24 hours. They averaged 16 points a game, was it, against Milwaukee over the weekend?
Yeah, well, they are the Bronx Bombers.
Absolutely, and honestly, again, it seems like a interesting idea, but I think that the MLB might jump on this now. I would say that using the physics of a bat, I'm not against that at all because even when I was playing, I gotta give credit to one of my high school coaches, Coach Davila. He told me like, "Hey, Felix, you might want to use a certain bat size because you get more power on it." And I was like, "Wait a second." I started using it. I was like, "I didn't even know I could hit that hard." So then on top of it, I'm not sure if you heard about this, but there's a way to check the sweet spot on the bat. So what I used to do, I would bounce the ball on the bat. Basically, wherever you hear the least sound or no sound, that's the sweet spot.
Same thing with a golf club. The exact same thing with a golf club.
The kinetic energy, the sound is the releasing of kinetic energy. Basically, it makes no sound. The part of the bat or the bat shaft that makes no sound, all of the kinetic energy goes to pushing the bat forward. There's no reverberation in the form of sound waves. So I'm into the whole science thing, even with hockey sticks.
Right.
It always comes back to hockey, but the modern hockey stick came out of an accident. Someone broke a stick during the game. They realized, okay, you know what? I'm not going to buy a new stick. I'm going to tape it. The stick was bent. He started shooting. He's like, wait a second. The puck can go upwards. That never happened in the history of hockey until then. Now every hockey stick comes with a curve. So, but back to the main point, I think it's just up to them to adjust the game. I mean, same thing with football. I mean, there's certain rules certain formations that got pushed out. Certain, even in hockey, like they noticed that certain teams are using trap defense. They're like, hey, there was something called the dead puck error. The trap defense is working too well. So like, you know what? Let's allow 2-line passes to get the offensive chance. So, honestly, I think it's good to keep an ear to the street. Oh yeah, you asked me about the Nationals.
Yeah. Also, in golf, they call it the trampoline effect off the golf club. Yeah. Let's get us caught up on your Nats. Your Washington Nationals.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, trampoline effect. But as for the Nationals, okay, I like the 5-1 win, but here's the problem. It's the third game of the series. I think, okay, it's nice to have that win. Everyone counts, but you kind of know what it is when your team only wins the third game of the series and the other two were blowouts. So it goes back to what I said about the Nationals years ago. People probably think I'm using the same script. I don't even use a script like that. Like I've been saying this repeatedly. The Nationals have solid players. Then they will trade them and say, oh, we're trying to bolster the pitching rotation. And people kept trusting it. Trust me, they're bolstering the pitching rotation. They said that in 2021. Same thing in 2022, 23, opening day 2024. What happens? You said everyone else said this. It was almost as if it was, you're in the matrix of how many people are repeating the same talking point. But the starting pitcher had a perfect game almost, allowed just one hit, 13 strikeouts. No one's ever done this in opening day since the 60s. Then all of a sudden, the relievers come in, the closers come in, and they allow a football score. Then the next day, the same deal, and on average, we gave up 9 points per game. So at a certain point, you just have to wonder.
Yeah. Listen, all Nats fans all over the DMV were very, very unhappy, from Tony Kornheiser all the way down. They were very, very unhappy. Hey, but look, Felix, the great thing is it's just the first 3 or 4 games. Now, look, my St. Louis Cardinals are 3-0, but that doesn't mean anything either. It's still early. It's still early. We still should just give the trophy to the Dodgers.
I'll say one thing. How much do you want to bet that I'm going to bring up this conversation about 6 months from now, maybe sooner, and I'm going to say you don't have to watch the rest of the Nationals games because you saw the whole season in the first 3 games.
Well, you know what? For you people out there, Felix loves the Washington sports. He's a Capitals fan. He's a Commanders fan. He's a National fan, and he's actually even a Washington Wizards fan. And I didn't even know Washington had NBA basketball, but 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 Felix tells me they do, and he covers it. He covers it all. Felix, talk to me about the men's and women's NCAA update and the Final Four real quickly.
So what I'll have to say is it's I think you kind of covered base on it for the first time, or you have a weird case where you don't have teams that are you don't have upset teams as much now. All the teams that are in are the top in their conferences, and you said that owes in part due to the transfer portal, but at the same time, that's not really a knock on it because at the same time, I feel like it's fair to the students, right? They're looking at sports programs. They're the biggest generator of money for any American college, so it's only fair that the students get a cut of it, and it's the same concept as an internship, a university program. You get a stipend for it. How much more so for your biggest moneymakers? So, but going back to it,
Who do you like in the Final Four, Felix? That's what we want to know.
well, I'd say for the women's one, this is going to be kind of obvious, but South Carolina.
Really? I think South Carolina's actually an underdog. I think everybody's putting their chips on UConn and Paige Becker, but I'm rooting for South Carolina. What about the men's Final Four? It's already decided. You like Florida, Duke, Houston, and Auburn, all the number 1 picks, made it the first time since 2008. Who do you like coming out of the men's Final Four?
Now, I'd say we have to keep a close eye on Houston. I'd say that I want to say my heart says Duke. I know that's not going to go over very well with Maryland fans.
Well, Dr. Lauren loves what you're saying. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what, man? Like I mentioned earlier, defense still wins championship. And man, that Duke defense, they don't let you get in the paint, I still got Florida and Walter Clayton Jr. Cutting down the nets. If he doesn't have the great day shooting like he always seems to do, I think Duke's going to be very, very hard to pick. So I think Duke is a really, really good pick, Felix.
Absolutely.
All right, listen, I got to get an update. There's something major going on in the DMV, not just in DMV, but in the National Hockey League. Ovechkin, give me the Ovechkin update as he tries to run down the great one, because I think he's just 5 goals away. Am I correct? Talk to us about that real quick.
Well, I would say that there's a good chance that he breaks that record, if not in the closing games of the regular season, if not maybe the playoffs. The Capitals were the first team to get into the playoffs this year. Actually, the second team in history to enter the playoffs first after the previous year barely getting in. Actually, we were the last team to get in last year. As a matter of fact, I discussed this. We technically shouldn't have gotten in. We got in because Philadelphia's goal in the last game was incorrectly disallowed.
Mm-hmm.
So a long way. I mean, Washington, my only concern, I'll say this, Ovechkin's record, it's just a matter of time before it's broken. So, I mean, that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Let me ask you this. Did you ever think anybody would even come close to that record, let alone break it?
To be honest, no. I mean, really, when we got Ovechkin, I'm just thinking.
When him and Sid Crosby, they came in together, and they were both touted to be great young players for the future. But to actually think, to me, that's almost like saying, "Hey, this kid is great. He's going to break Hank Aaron's home run record." You're like, "Get out of here,"
Right.
And here we are. He's 5 goals away from doing it.
And the thing with Ovechkin, I was just waiting for him to win a championship for us, and that happened. And now it's the record. It's a major thing. And I also want to say this. I'm glad you mentioned Sidney Crosby. And I should probably say this with context, but goals and points are counted separately. You get a point for an assist in hockey.
Mm-hmm.
So Crosby already broke Gretzky's point record.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of goals, which is, considered more important category, Ovechkin would be. I'm not saying that out of bias, by the way. I mean, it'll depend on who you're talking to, but goals what goes on a scoreboard.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. So yeah, two guys, Ovechkin, Crosby. I remember the rivalry from the beginning. It's just something to see, and I'm just glad that this is what I grew up with. Like you have a whole generation of people who don't know how good Ovechkin versus Crosby was. The classic playoff series,
Mm-hmm.
regular season matchups were, and this was just a regular Wednesday night when I was a kid or a teenager. So I just don't realize that I really came in during a pretty good time for the sport.
Okay, listen, I know we said 5 good minutes, but you know what? It's my show. If I want to go over, I can go over. Hey, listen, let's get to our poll question. See if you can our poll questions, our trivia question. Let's get to our trivia question. See if you can answer this one, Face. Okay, so our trivia question was, what team has won? What team has been to the most Final Fours? You got a guess on that, Felix? What team has been to the Final Four the most? That's the trivia question.
Men's or women's?
Men's, yeah, the
Okay,
men's.
okay, okay. It was a question.
Yes. Which team has been to the Final Four the most? You guys on Facebook, jump in.
I want to say either UConn or the Hoyas.
UConn or the Hoyas for the men? For the men?
Say Hoyas.
Okay.
Hoyas, my bad.
All right, Laura. Well, the answer is actually North Carolina. If you think about it, North Carolina, Dean Smith. North Carolina has been to 21 Final Fours. That's the most of any team, followed by UCLA, and that makes sense with the Bruins dynasty. UCLA has been to 19 Final Fours, and Dr. Lawrence Duke Blue Devils is third with 18. As a matter of fact, they're making the Final Four now. Now Duke has 19. So now Duke is actually tied with UCLA at the number 2 spot with the 19. Oh, sorry, Lord, didn't mean to shortchange your team. So Duke and UCLA both have 19 Final Four appearances, followed by Kentucky with 17. And this makes sense because these are all blue bloods. These are all blue blood schools. UConn is I would think women's would be the women's answer for UConn. But UConn's been there, and the Hoyas haven't been in that many Final Fours. I think the Hoyas been to 2 Final Fours, Felix. I think. Have they been to more than 2 Final Fours? Georgetown Hoyas? I don't think so. I don't think they've been to more than 2. I know they went back to back a couple years, and I don't think they've been back since then. Hey, gang, that's our show for today. Felix, we want to thank you for coming on. We appreciate you. I'm really excited about us having our new 5 good minutes with Mr. Felix Bassey. Thank you, Felix. We appreciate you. Like I said, that's our show. Don't forget to like and subscribe us on YouTube. Hit that like bell, please, if you're enjoying the content. And if you'd like to bless our ministry, you can now sow into the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk by Cash App at $ Tom the Bomb Sports Talk. Don't forget to check out our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. And you can also email us at info@tomthebombsports.com. Hey, gang, for a dynamic, in-depth sports analysis and highlights for sports in the DMV and more, check out the Washington Sports Den on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on WBGR with my main man, Mr. Felix Bassey. His future so bright he needs shades. Hey, gang, time flies. Time really does fly when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. Listen, we don't take that for granted. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you that there won't be room enough to contain it as you live off the overflow and step boldly into the realm of grace, your blood bought right. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the 3rd day, not a Thursday, right, Lori?
Right.
Just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Listen, may God may God bless you. You guys have a look. We'll see you guys next week on this same bat time on this same bat station. You guys have a good evening. Enjoy the game. Thanks, Felix. Happy birthday to all my family out there with the March birthdays. We've covered you all. Enjoy the games. God bless you. You guys have a good evening.
it's all about. For a long time, I've held this water in. Let the floodgates open, let the miracles begin. I've prayed, and I've gone back 7 times. Look again, cause the miracles are mine. Stir the water, I'm about to step in like the pool of Bethesda. Let the healing begin.
Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine. Daughter of mine, this is your time, and you gon' shine, and you gon' shine.
It took a minute to get my composure right. For years it seems like I've been fighting for my life. Confusing times when my days resemble nights. But now this eagle is about to take flight and soar out of darkness to its revelation light. Though the waves are rough, I step out my comfort zone to walk on water, cause I know I'm not alone. God's got my back and reminds me I'm his own. His words are sweet in my mouth, they taste like a honeycomb. And faith has opened up my eyes. I've been through the fire, tested and tried. As I study God's word, I finally realize that my purpose to visualize, to bring the unseen from the realm of under night until I walk into the fullness of a purpose-filled life. Cause I'm light. Yes, I am light, and I shine bright. I am an investment of the Lord Jesus Christ. Not only am I light, I am salt. When I enter in, I add flavor to it all. I bring truth, there's no dispute. Jesus is the vine, and in him I take root. I am the head, and not the tail. I'm an overcomer made free to prevail. A new design, a special kind. Ambassador followed by wonders and signs. I am light, and I give sight, leading lost souls to a glorious light. I am light.